this is my first YouTube video. I've actually been debating a lot whether to make a YouTube account. And I was just like, well, if I do make it, what would I post? And so I thought about a couple ideas, but something just came to mind. And as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about my mental illness. It's a pretty sensitive topic, and I was debating, should I even talk about it? But I want to raise awareness, especially in my culture, in the Asian culture, specifically in the Vietnamese culture. Speaking about your mental illness is kind of like a taboo. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to, and a lot of my friends, they relate to that because they feel like they can't talk to their parents about their mental illness, or that the fact is that their parents don't believe in it. And it gets a little bit difficult. And I personally have spoke to my parents about it. It's a difficult topic, and sometimes they don't understand it. Sometimes, but I love my parents. They try to be supportive as much as possible, and I can see if they're trying, but it's still kind of hard for them because they grew in a different environment, different era. So it's I sometimes have to put myself in their shoes to see where they're coming from. But my purpose for this video is to raise awareness for mental illness in general. So I guess a little bit about myself. I'm 23 years old. I'm currently a college student, and I would say I've been diagnosed with anxiety disorder as well as depression since I was 16. Especially around that time, it was kind of hard, especially for my family, because we had a lot of issues going on, and that's when my mental illness started popping up, and it started getting more serious. And that's when I sought professional help, and then I was diagnosed with it. I also took medication for it, like antidepressants, but I didn't like how they made me feel. It basically kind of numbs you, and you can't even feel happy, and it sucks. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't be happy. I couldn't be myself. And so I stopped taking it, and I just kind of dealt with it on my own, which I don't know if medically I would recommend that. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but I did it because I just didn't like how they made me feel. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But essentially, just last year in 2019 was probably my most difficult year. I went through a lot. I went through 2 family losses consecutively, and then I went through a really bad breakup. So my anxiety disorder was activated, and it was off the charts. I would have anxiety attacks back to back to back, and it was all of them. I went through them alone. I would be hyperventilating and finding myself hard to breathe, and it's just usually my anxiety attacks would last for 30 seconds to a minute, but it feels like a lifetime. It's just the worst feeling possible if I have to describe it in any way. And the fact is I wished I didn't have to go through it alone, but I did, because your family is there for you, and they're permanent, and you would hope that you can always rely on them. And my family in general, they're pretty reliable, but they were going through the same thing I was going through. I lost my grandma, and I lost my uncle, and so my family was going through the pain just like me. So I couldn't even emotionally depend on them. I had to be actually the stronger person and just kind of take in all of the emotional situations, and it was rough in that aspect because I kind of carried my family's burden with me. Not that they are, it's just, it was a lot to take in. And so I couldn't show them a side of me that, hey, like, I'm also going through this emotional roller coaster with you. Like, I'm also feeling sad, I'm also feeling stressed, I'm also hurt and everything and all that aspect. But I couldn't show it because I needed to be that strong person. And it definitely took a toll on me because I had so many anxiety attacks that time. I don't think I can even count how many I had, but it was just back to back to back, almost every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And usually when I have an anxiety attack, I would literally be bedridden the entire day because it's so mentally draining. And that's what I found myself to be at that point. And it was really hard because I couldn't share with anyone. Now everybody around me always thought that I was a very strong individual, that I can handle myself, and I'm put together in a lot of ways, but I'm also very human. I'm not perfect whatsoever. I go through a lot of emotional pain, a lot of ups and downs, but I do feel like I've started to learn how to change the way I react to things, how I view things, and how I see them. And instead of seeing something bad and just immediately think, oh man, that sucks, I kind of see like, okay, how can I fix it? What can I learn from it? And like, definitely that has helped me a lot in the aspect of my mental illness, because I've gotten people who say, oh yeah, you put yourself in the position where you get, you triggered your own mental illness. And it sucks sometimes, because the fact is sometimes you can't even control it. I've had people come to me and said, I just somehow got an anxiety attack and I wasn't even doing anything. And that's what sucks about mental illness, is that sometimes you really don't need anything to trigger it. It just happens and you're just there and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? But I'm making this video to share with the world that you're not alone in this, and that there are people out there who are going through the same thing that you are, if you're one of those individuals who are going through what I'm going through. And just know that there are people out there who understand you and who are very willing to help you in the aspect of talking and making you feel welcomed. Sometimes people who have these mental illness, they feel like they're alone in this world, and they're not. Absolutely not. And that's something I've grown to understand from the overwhelming support from my family and friends. And sometimes you just need one person to just care about you and care about your health, care about where you are in your life. And that really does make a difference. And on top of that, it's just deep down, you know you're very capable of putting your best self back together. You know your worth. You just need to accept it. And I think that is that is the hardest step. But when you finally get there, you're gonna realize that you're worth everything for yourself, for your future, for everyone around you. You mean so much to the world. You were placed in this world for a reason. You yourself have a purpose. And that's like the mindset that you need to keep for yourself to continue this journey of life. um, and I feel like sometimes people just need to hear that. People just need to hear like they're worth it in every aspect. Sometimes people feel like I'm broken because I have these mental issues that I can't control sometimes, and I feel weak, defeated. And those are feelings that are very familiar to me, actually. I feel that sometimes. But I always have to remind myself that those feelings are temporary. You will get through this. You will build a place for yourself where you can show the world that you are strong enough. And it doesn't mean you put up a facade saying like, hey, like I'm perfect. Hey, like I have my life together. No, like if anything, show your vulnerability to the world actually projects a lot of strength in you. The fact is you're comfortable in your own skin to be able to accept not just your gifts and talents, but also your flaws as well. And I think a lot of people don't know how to balance those things. They focus so much on the flaws that they forget they're also beautiful in a lot of aspects, wonderful, amazing in a lot of ways. And just being able to find that balance between being able to see yourself that you're human, you're living day by day learning. And that's what I've learned, and I've kept that mindset for myself to help me with my anxiety disorder, help me with my depression. And definitely it has gotten me a long way. I'm not going to lie, I do get anxiety attacks here and there, and it's something like I'm still working on. But I'm making this video to be able to share this awareness with you, that you're not alone, and that each day is a battle, of course, but it's a battle worth fighting for, because it's for you and the people around you who love you and care for you. So that's a little piece of me, and a little piece of me where I can just share to the world and hope that someone see my video and relate to it and find some hope in it, because that's sometimes what people need. It's a little bit of hope. And I hope I gave that to you. Thank you for watching. See you later.